clarify the Canada-Mexico tariffs? You had put that 30-day pause, but you just referred to April.
25%.
25%. When does it go into effect?
April 2nd.
Canada lives to be taxed another day. Holy smokes, totes and goats. President Trump said, you know what? We're going to wait for Canada to see what they're doing, and we're going to pause the tariffs a little bit longer. Canada gets an extension. So does Mexico. So does kind of everybody. It seems like April 2nd is the day where the tariffs, the 25% across the board tariffs, are going to be put in effect. But we're going to have to wait and see how that works out. In terms of other things that Trump wants to do because of the border, right? The whole border and illegal immigrants going in from Canada into America and the fentanyl thing. In terms of that, Trump is saying, well, hey, we're going to have to wait and see how Canada does. If they do great, if Trump says you're good to go, then you might not get taxed. So we're taking a look at that. That's going to be the bulk of everything. Also, Elon Musk's Canadian citizenship is apparently going to be revoked, or Canadian radical extremists are trying to get it revoked. Super weird, if I'm being totally honest. And we're going to start off with Jagmeet Singh and how he says Donald Trump is bad. Orange man, bad. He's a fascist. He should be kicked out of any world leader discussions. Kind of funny coming from Jagmeet Singh. So a lot to take a look at in this video. Hope you stick around for the full thing. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage y'all to like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It does really help grow the channel. And without further ado, let's start off with Jagmeet Singh. Jagmeet Singh. Trump is a fascist, he says. Let's take a look.
I ask you a question. What do you call someone who threatens his allies, including with the use of military force? Someone who spreads disinformation and proclaims that he is above the laws and fires anyone who won't do as he says, even those in law enforcement and in the military. You call that person a fascist.
Interesting. That's actually missing disinformation on its own, because Trump has never referred to using military strength or military powers at all with Canada. So yeah, that's kind of weird. And then he's got this to say about an upcoming summit where he thinks Trump should not be participating.
I also believe we need to ban Donald Trump from attending the G7 summit.
Okay,
Donald Trump should not be welcome here. Why would we invite someone who has threatened our very democracy, our very sovereignty? Why would we invite someone who has threatened our economic well-being? Why would we invite someone who threatens our allies and threatens the world's stability? Why would we allow a convicted criminal into our country?
Oh, give me a break.
Why would we invite someone who has such disdain for multilateral organizations? Instead, what we should do is use the G7 summit as an opportunity to work with our allies on a plan to resist Donald Trump and his dangerous threats to the world.
No, man. What the heck's going on? Is anyone buying that? Are people actually watching Jagmeet Singh going, yeah, I agree with you. We should ban Trump from the first world. He shouldn't be in power. He shouldn't be allowed to come here. That's just ridiculous. The guy's barely an elected official. He's on track to lose all of his seats, that he probably won't run for re-election, because as of a few days ago or a couple days ago, he's now eligible for his $2.3 million pension. His policies are whack. He's completely ruined the NDP party. Just like how the Liberals are ruined, they need a complete rebranding. And the only way that's ever going to happen is if Jagmeet Singh is far away from it. And so would everyone who's currently part of that party have to be. Kind of crazy. But let me know your thoughts down below on what Jagmeet has to say about Trump, I suppose. Now let's take a look here at what Premier of Alberta, Danielle Smith, has to say about this pipeline. She wants to basically support Trump in the resurrection of the Keystone XL pipeline, which would be phenomenal. Let's take a look.
Alberta's premier was quick to support Donald Trump's plan to resurrect the Keystone XL pipeline project. The U.S. president posted online that his administration would deliver easy approvals and an almost immediate start. Under Premier Jason Kenney, Alberta invested more than $1 billion in this project. Keystone was then canceled shortly after Joe Biden was sworn in as American president. The project was stalled for more than a decade before that. In a statement, the premier agrees with Trump that the project should have never been canceled. She also asked for tariffs to be scrapped. The company that owns the Keystone system says it's moved on from the expansion project.
No, we shouldn't move on from it. We should resurrect it, bring it back, make it great, and start pumping things through that pipeline. Let me know down below in the comments if you agree that that project should come back. And now we got to take a look here at the big boy news. Big boy news is that Trump pushes back tariffs on Canada another month. Now says that they won't be implemented until April 2nd, which I have to give him credit. That's the best way to do it, not April 1st. Justin Trudeau has done a couple of taxes, the carbon tax last year, maybe the year prior, and I think scheduled for this year, April 1st, the carbon tax goes up. At least it did last year. That's insane. Like, everybody knows April 1st is April Fools. Why would you put a tax that harms your own citizens on April Fools? That's so sadistic. I don't like that at all. So at least Trump, and he's admitted in the past, I was thinking about April 1st, but you know what? That wouldn't be that funny. So we went with April 2nd. Right? Like, good for him at least for doing that. But let's take a look now at what he says instead of just a headline.
Can you clarify the Canada-Mexico tariffs? You had put that 30-day pause, but you just referred to April.
25%.
25%. When does it go into effect?
April 2nd.
April 2nd for Canada-Mexico.
Correct. And for everything.
Well, we have the fentanyl related is a pause. If they can prove to the president they've done an excellent job, that's what they first do in 30 days.
Have you guys seen any
But then the overall is April 2nd. So the big transaction is April 2nd, but the fentanyl related things, they're working hard on the border. At the end of that 30 days, they have to prove to the president that they've satisfied him to that regard. If they have,
It's gonna be hard
they'll
to
give them a pause, or he won't.
It's going to be hard to satisfy. We lose 300,000 people a year to fentanyl. Not 100, not 95, not 60 like you read. You know, you've been reading it for years. We lost, in my opinion, over the last couple of years, on average, maybe close to 300,000 people dead. And the families are ruined. You know, when they lose a daughter, when they lose a son, the families are never the same. You're never going to be the same. So you're talking about 1 million people. But when the daughters die, I see it, daughters die and the sons die because of fentanyl. And in some cases, I don't even know they're taking it. They're buying something else and it's laced with fentanyl and they end up dying. And I've known many people who've lost children to fentanyl and for other reasons, but to fentanyl, it's such a big killer. And those people are never the same people. I mean, I've seen people that for the rest of their lives, they're not the same people. They're so different, it's not even believable. Dynamic people, happy people they die a miserable death. And that's because of the crap that comes in through China and through Mexico and through Canada.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely does come through Canada, right? We've seen that now that we've been aware of the super lab, the super fentanyl lab in British Columbia and whatever town it was busted in, had enough materials to kill 95 or 93 or 90 plus million people. That's insane. That's terrorism. That's to wipe out our entire country twice over. That's huge. Like, this is a serious freaking problem, and it seems to be getting worse. And it's not just going to affect people that are using, like, consciously using fentanyl as a drug, but it can be possibly put into the air. It can be put into water supply, into food. Like, we don't really know what this is capable of, but this is a real freaking act of terrorism that needs to be addressed. So as long as we're able to prove, as long as Canada, the Canadian government is able to prove that we're taking this seriously, which it seems like so far we are, it's taken a very long time, too long for Justin Trudeau to kick that in gear. But Danielle Smith has been very much taking the lead on this, and she's got helicopters that are patrolling the borders and putting a lot of money and resources into it. And now it's been backed with federal funds. So it seems to be good. Hopefully we can satisfy him to the point where we don't get tariffs. But as for the April 2nd pushback date for the rest of the tariffs, there's still time before Canada goes inevitably bankrupt. I don't even know if we need tariffs at this point to go bankrupt. But if that does happen, we are screwed. And speaking of screwed, there's now reasons to believe that Trump might be trying to push Canada out of the Five Eyes intelligence group. That might be good or might be bad. I don't really know. Let's take a look here and then we'll make up our mind.
Trade advisor responded to a report today that the administration wants to push Canada out of a pivotal intelligence sharing pact. But as CTV's Judy Trin reports, the denial hasn't entirely quelled the concerns.
A North American trade war is likely to start on March 4th when the U.S. president
2nd.
slaps 25% tariffs on Canadian and Mexican goods. Oil and gas will be hit with 10% tariffs.
We're on time with the tariffs.
Adding to the alarm, the Financial Times, citing confidential sources, reported that Donald Trump's trade advisor, Peter Navarro, is talking about removing Canada from the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance.
It is a surprising comment considering the contribution of Canada to the Five Eyes Alliance, not only today, but also in the past, and I would even say in the future.
Navarro denied the report after it was published.
That was just crazy stuff. We would never, ever jeopardize our national security, ever, with allies like Canada. Ever.
But that doesn't calm the waters for this former national security advisor.
But then I'm still thinking, while we may not have a fire here, we may have some smoke and some serious smoke.
Blocking Canada from getting intelligence from the U.S., United Kingdom, Australia, and New Zealand was discussed during the last Trump administration.
I don't want to exaggerate, and I certainly don't want to get into specific cases. But this was always out there as a potential weapon that could be used.
Trump wants access to natural resources in the Arctic and is repeatedly threatening Canada's sovereignty.
A lot of people in Canada are liking becoming our beautiful, cherished 51st state. They'll have to pay much lower taxes. They'll have the ultimate security.
Trump's advisor says he wants to annex Canada while he's in power. If not this term, his team is strategizing how to extend the Trump presidency beyond 2028.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to wait and see how that looks. I think that what Trump is doing is, the art of negotiations, right? You saw this with Ukraine. If the Democrats, if Biden or Kamala had won and Trump didn't, then they would have just kept giving more money to Ukraine and never taken anything back in return other than just a simple thank you. But with Trump, he's saying, okay, well, you're not going to pay us back in money, but we're going to take 50% of your minerals until you've paid us back with interest. And so that seems to be what Trump is after, is the minerals, the resources of different countries to then bring into America to be able to bring back the, made in America boom, the economy boom that they're so desperately wanting, that Trump is wanting. And to be honest, it's not a bad move. How's that going to affect Canada? Well, he could leverage some of these things. He kicked out of the Five Eyes. We're going to annex Canada. We're going to do all these tariffs. Or unless you give us some of your minerals and resources and oil and gas for either free or for extremely subsidized payments. So what he's doing is definitely pro-American. It seems to be working. And I just hope that whoever's going to lead this country moving forward in the near future and in the very distant or not so distant future from now, that we are working with America instead of butting heads against America. Now we're going to take a look at what's going on with Elon Musk, because there's a petition going around and it's got apparently over 170,000 signatures to kick Elon Musk out of Canada, to remove his citizenship, which is freaking weird to me. I'm a big Elon fan. I like Elon. I've liked him for 10 plus years. I don't really seem to understand why he's so hated, but maybe I just have a bias. Why Canada can't strip Elon Musk of Canadian citizenship. Womp womp. The hundreds of thousands of people that signed that petition must feel a little silly. House Commons petition signed by more than 250,000 Canadians. Oh my goodness. An online petition calling for the Canadian government to revoke Elon Musk's citizenship is on track to become one of the most popular in the history of House of Commons. There's no freaking way. There's no way. There's just one problem. Canada can't actually revoke his citizenship. immigration lawyer says that under Canadian law, someone's citizenship can only be revoked if proven that they committed fraud or misrepresentation to obtain it. Interesting. Before they could do this, they would need to introduce legislation. There would have to be amendments to the current Citizenship Act, former chair of the Canadian Bar, immigration section. There's no provision that would allow them to pursue revoking citizenship. So it's just not going to happen. And someone said that it's fairly rare for Canadian citizenship to be revoked. And that's true. I mean, that's absolutely true. We have actual ISIS terrorists that are living in Canada that we know of, and we don't even revoke their citizenship. Like people that have beheaded people in the Middle East, right? That's crazy. So no, Elon Musk's citizenship is not going to be revoked. But let's take a look at this news clip here.
U.S. President Donald Trump is set to convene the first cabinet meeting of his second term today. His newly appointed cabinet secretaries, the White House chief of staff, Vice President J.D. Vance, they are all set to attend. The White House also says Elon Musk will attend. The billionaire, overseer of the Department of Government Efficiency, has worked aggressively in the past month to slash government spending across a range of departments. That's a key objective for Trump and his administration. Musk is considered a special government employee. He has a government email address. He has an office on the White House grounds, but he's not been elected. He's not been confirmed by the Senate. He's not paid for his work. His inclusion in the cabinet meeting comes amid mass confusion over one of his recent directives, instructing millions of federal employees to justify their jobs in an email or risk losing those jobs. Several Trump-appointed agency heads have told their employees not to respond. Elon Musk is involved in another story that we're covering this morning, the petition in this country that's gaining speed and signatures. It focuses on Elon Musk, a call on the government to revoke his Canadian citizenship and passport. Elon Musk's mother was born in Regina. He attended Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario, but through his mother, he has this Canadian citizenship. And there is a push from an author, Qualia Reid, in British Columbia, which is garnering signatures, which has been sponsored by my guest this morning, NDP MP Charlie Angus. We have him for just a few minutes before he heads to Ottawa today. He's in Cobalt, Ontario.
That dude is absolutely out of his mind. Charlie Angus tried to make it a criminal offense. You could go to jail for saying, yeah, oil and gas is good. Those exact words would land you in jail. That's insane. This guy should not be a member of parliament, and we should not even entertain such radical behavior by members of parliament here in Canada.
Mr. Angus, welcome back to our program.
Thanks so much for having me.
So here's the number. 284,029 signatures. That's the very latest number on this petition, one of the most significant in the history of the House of Commons. What do you think of that number and what it's tapped into?
Well, I think what's really fascinating, and the one thing that gives me hope in these very dark times, is how determined Canadians are to defend their democracy. So there's many tools Canadians can have to express their views, and one of them is a e-petition to Parliament. Sometimes it gets 500 signatures, sometimes 1,000, sometimes it's on healthcare products, sometimes
Which, by the way, the petition that I put forward to stop muting the mic, which used to be found at stopmutingthemic.ca, is, I think, like top 60 most signed petitions in Canadian history. And that's just very particular thing to get the House of Commons Speaker, Greg Fergus, to stop abusing his power of muting the microphones during debates, because it's absolutely insane that he does that. So the fact that he was able to get over 250,000 people to sign this petition to revoke Elon Musk's citizenship is pretty wild. Like, that's an insane amount of people. Again, the most signed petition in Canadian history is to get Justin Trudeau to resign. I think it happened 2023. And it's got like 300,000 signatures, maybe 380,000. So this one's catching up, and it could very well be the most signed petition in Canadian history, which is freaking wild to think about. There's that many people in Canada that hate Elon? I don't see it.
It's on road safety. I was approached about this petition on Elon Musk's citizenship. And of course, a petition doesn't remove citizenship, but I thought, well, people want to express their anger at these profoundly anti-democratic actions of Musk. So let's see what happens. I have to say, I've never seen anything like it. I said, yeah, I'll bring the petition to Parliament, and it has just exploded. And every day it gains momentum. So it's sending a clear message to Canadian politicians that they want our democracy defended, and they don't want us making any kind of deals with Elon Musk, with Starlink, and they're very concerned about his interference with X.
It's interesting. You're right. It's exploding. Thousands. I think there you're back. Sorry, we just lost your image. Thousands of signatures just in the last 20 minutes as we were getting set to talk to you today. So let me read the substance of this petition, what it calls for and what it says. Elon Musk has engaged in activities that go against the national interest of Canada. He has used his wealth and power to influence our elections. He has now become a member of a foreign government that is attempting to erase Canadian sovereignty. And the attempts of Elon Musk to attack Canadian sovereignty must be addressed. What are the particular things that stand out for you in the wording of that petition which you've sponsored, Mr. Angus, that really you point to as the greatest threats from him to our country?
Well, I have been really pushing Elections Canada on the potential interference by the massive platform he has with X. And we've seen in Germany, the German government has demanded legal actions to get the algorithms of X because of interference in supporting far-right extremists. We've seen in England him promoting really ugly racial divisions. He said that Canada is not a real country. He is the right hand of a president who believes we don't have a right to exist as a country. So I think Canadians get the fact that this man could pose a direct threat to our democratic sovereignty through his powerful platform at X. And I think the other thing that's really, really horrific is that he used the Starlink platform that he has to threaten the people of Ukraine. So this man, he has nothing to do with Canadian values. In fact, he's the enemy of Canadian values.
So far as election involvement, we have seen him on X supporting Pierre Poilievre from the Conservatives, deriding the Prime Minister as far as governor and some of that belittling language. We do have a picture of the tweet that he posted when you said Canada, as you said, Canada is not a real country. That was the response from him to this petition. He's since taken it down. Where this goes, though, we have some reporting up on our website this morning, Mr. Angus, from Elizabeth Thompson in our Parliamentary Bureau, and she's been talking to the officials who say it's likely not going to happen. It would require an amendment because it would be such a rare occurrence. It only happens, revocation of citizenship, if someone commits fraud, misrepresents themselves, or knowingly hides information on an immigrant or citizenship application. So it doesn't look likely to be concrete, does it, as a result of this petition?
No, and he knows that. He's just doing it to be a troll.
A petition can never take someone's citizenship, but what a petition can do can express anger. And what gives me hope is that deep in the Canadian DNA, Canadians hate fascism. Call it our Juno Beach gene that's in all of us. So when we see someone giving a fascist salute in the inauguration, when we see him promoting the far right, when we see him denigrate our nation, saying we're not even a real country, why the heck does this guy have a passport? So that's the message Canadians are sending. And the other message they're sending is don't cut any more deals. Like Doug Ford signed a $100 million deal with Starlink. They don't want this guy in any capacity to be able to interfere in our democracy and our sovereignty. So it's a message that's being sent. And I think by tomorrow, this probably will become the largest petition in Canadian history, which gives me a lot of hope.
You know, when you say it sends a message to Parliament and to Canada's government, but I'm wondering if you think it might be sending a message to the United States at all. I noted this was picked up in the New York Times, getting a lot of play there, and that was just when it was 230,000. It's already skyrocketing from there. Could this have any potential U.S. impact, do you think?
I absolutely believe Canada is in the lead in resisting the tyranny that's coming out of Washington. We see in the UK, there's been reports on the petition. People are justifiably angry in the United States about the trashing of their democracy by a man who's from South Africa. And so I'm seeing a lot of pickup about a call for similar action in the United States. Again, symbolic, but we are in really dangerous and threatening times. And I think ordinary people want to have their voices heard. And I'm getting a lot of support across the border from our cousins in the United States who are terrified about what's happening with the regime that moved in from Mar-a-Lago.
Listen, thank you so much for the.
Yeah, that dude's just absolutely insane. I mean, I don't respect Charlie Angus. I don't take him seriously. I think he's an absolute joke and a stain on just our parliamentary system here in Canada. Radicals like him should not have a voice. I don't know how else to say it. I know that is quite literally censorship, but I don't think he should be allowed to be an MP. I mean, he is so freaking far to the left. He criticizes far right extremists like Elon Musk. Dude, Elon Musk is not far right. He's like right, a little bit of center, maybe a little past right of center, right? He's a little bit to the right, but not at all. And socially, he's pretty centrist, right? He's pretty freaking centrist, libertarian, or whatever you want to call it. This guy, Charlie Angus, trying to remove citizenship from a non-terrorist person who provides a lot of jobs in Canada, a lot of services and a lot of goods is freaking crazy. Absolutely crazy. And then not to mention the fact that that's the same guy that tried to make it a criminal offense and where you go to jail for saying good things about oil and gas. Wow, my vehicle is really performing well with oil and gas. I happen to really love oil and gas. I don't mind filling up my truck, my Hemi truck, with oil and gas. And he's like, oh, that's a criminal offense. What the hell is wrong with you? I don't like him. I think it's just trolling at this point. But that's my opinion, folks. I would absolutely love to know yours. Maybe you agree with the petition. Maybe you think that Elon Musk should have citizenship revoked. I don't know. We can agree to disagree. That's okay. We can still get along. Unless you're Charlie Angus, then I think that you should not be a member of parliament or have a voice with our government at all. But that is in the video, folks. Again, love to know what you guys think down below in the comments, not just about Elon Musk citizenship, but about any other topics that were covered. And I look forward to seeing you guys in another video. Bye for now.